Hey, this is Flo, and welcome back to episode 8 of our 30-day weather app challenge. In this episode, we will think about how a user should be able to add a city and how we can actually reflect that in our city overviews. So, first of all, I want to show you the API that we're going to use. It's once again by Openweathermap. It's a geocoding API, and what it does is we can make a API call with a city as a search term, and then we get back the city in some localized names, but especially what we need, latitude and longitude of that city, because we need those to call our weather API then. So let's first of all implement this API call. So for that I will open weather service and create a new static func here. Get city for name. I'm just going to call it this. And let's make this also in any publisher of type city. And error. Okay. So first of all, once again, we need a URL from a string. So let's paste this in here. Let's remove the limit. In here, for the search term, we don't always want London. We obviously want the city name, and then here we need our statics.api key. Okay, also force unwrap this URL because we know it exists. Okay, so then let's create our publisher, URL session.shared data task publisher for the URL. Let's try map it with the data and a response. Map that to a city. Let's basically copy all of that, map it to data, sorry. Copy all of that code. Then decode it as city.self with a JSON decoder. And let's erase that to any publisher. Okay, so what's the issue here? City is not decodable. So let's go to city. And it's identifiable right now, but we also can just make it codable. Okay. Good. So now this should actually work. Yeah, it works. Okay, great. And also this should be called element instead of data. And let me see, we should only capture the element. So we're using another overload of try-map where data and response are inside of this element. Let's see. Yeah. Okay, so this is the function for that. Now we have to check out whether our city actually has the same names as this gives back. So name is the same, and then let and lon. Okay, so this needs to be called lon, and let's actually rename this in all files by command clicking on it, hitting rename, and just removing the G. So everything here is also renamed. So the way I wanted to implement this is at the end of our list here. So as you know, we can scroll between cities. And at the end, I want to have basically just a field where you can enter a city name, press add city, and then it will get added. So for that, I will create a new view. SwiftUI view, let's call it add city view, create. And this will basically just have a vstack with a text field with title new city, some text binding that we're going to add, and below just a button with some action that we're going to add. And actually, let's use another overload. Let's use this overload. Okay, so let's think about the binding, and I believe the easiest way to actually do this is adding an observed object of type content view model. And then, yeah, let's remove this preview. We also need to give this VStack our information box styling, I would say. So let's go to city overview. Where's our information box? Right here. Let's just copy this styling, add it to our VStack. Okay, and now in content view, we can, in the end, after our for each in a tab view, we can add the add city view with the same model. Because model is content view model is a class, as you can see here, class. Classes are passed by reference, or instances of a class are passed by reference, meaning that when I change something in the model inside of add city view, it also gets changed inside of content view because this is the exact same instance. Okay, so let's add a text or a string to our content view. Let's call this one new city name of type string, and let's initialize it to be empty. Then we actually don't need to declare the type. Now we can go back to our add city view and bind to our model.newCityName. Okay, good. So we should be able to, oh, actually we still need it because we still need the button action. So let's go to the content view model again and create a function called add city with name. Okay, let's implement this in just a second. Let's get back to the add city view, and now here for the action we can just add model.add city with name. Actually, let's remove this with name because we actually already have the name here. So let's just do it like this, and now this should work. Okay, so let's think about what should happen here. First of all, I think we should stop initializing our content view model with the placeholder cities. Well, we can leave it like that for now, but we will change that later, I believe. So we will definitely need combine because we're going to use our weather service here, the function that we just implemented, this getCity function. So let's start with that, weather service dot get city for our new city name. Okay, let's subscribe to that. So let's get the completion and the city. Okay. And then in the end, we also have to store this in a reference. So let's create a private var cancellables as we have previously done in the other episodes, which is a set of any cancelable references, and then we can just store this subscription in this set. Okay. Then for this completion part, we can just copy it over from our load function from the city overview model. Okay, just paste this in here. Then in the receive value, we will capture week self. And now we can say self.cities.append the city. So this should append the city to this array, which will then update our tab view and add the city at the end. Okay, so once again, we forgot to add the S for HTTP secure here. So I added that. And I also wrapped this appending action here in the main thread because we want to update the UI. But as you can see, the data couldn't be read because it isn't in the correct format. So let's see what the issue is. We have a name, let, and lon. Let's see here. Oh, so this is an array of cities that we get back. Okay. So let's go into our weather service. And we need to map this to an array of cities. And then we might wanna add the limit again. So let's see if this still gives us an array. Okay, so I fixed the issue where our tab view did not refresh, and that's because I added the add city view at the end of it and then appended something before the add city view, which is just not possible in a UI collection view. So I had to put it in the beginning of the tab view, so on the very left, which actually makes sense because in the beginning we have no cities, then we can add some cities. Now this also works, so let's try to add some other city like Paris, for example. Press add city, and you can see it will get added as well, but you see that the title is somehow not working. So let's try to fix that. Let's go to our city overview model, and let's create a publish variable for the title, or let's call it name, which will be initialized to an empty string. And then let's also create one for the time, which will also be initialized to an empty string. And now in our init, I think we should rework this so the initializer actually takes in a city and then grabs the coordinates from that city like this. So we have to change this over here as well and just pass in the city that we received. Let's also delete these two and these two, and then we can replace the city with model.name and this time with model.time. Okay. Let's get back over here, and then the initializer should also initialize self.name equals city.name. Now this should work. And let's think about the time. So we actually already have this date formatter here, so we could just say self.time equals date formatter dot string from the current date. So let's see, let's add a city like Paris, add city, slide over there, and now you can see, we see the city, current time, current temperature, we have all the icons, all the data that we want. The hourly forecast for actually 48 hours, and we have the next few days. So I believe this is actually 8 days instead of 7, but we need to pass the city name into this view as well, and we also need to update this date up here. So let's handle the next 7 days view first. We don't need the model anymore, we don't need the service anymore. So let's see, next 7 days view. Let's also give it a state var name of type string, and let's put the name up here. Okay, and then in our city overview we should also pass the name, which will be model.name. So let's add Paris again, add city, click on next 7 days, and now you can see Paris is displayed there. One thing, obviously the background colors are different, so let's do that right now. And for that we need to grab the background color from the content view, so it's opacity 0.2 and this has 0.1. Okay, so we just need to change the opacity, then that's done as well. And the last thing is we want to actually change the state up here. So for that we go back into the city overview model. We already have this time variable for up here, and so now we also need a date variable. So for that we will just create another published var date, which will be initialized with an empty string. Let's rename this date formatter to time formatter actually, and then let's create another one. So let's create a date formatter now, which will be just a European standard date format. So weekday dot month. Okay. And let me find out how you can add the weekday in front. So see you in just a second. Okay, so actually what we want instead of this, we can just use such a format, which will actually give us the weekday, then the name of the month, and then the date. Let's say self.date equals date formatter dot string, once again from the current date. Okay, and now we also have to actually display this. So here it's hard coded. Let's say model.date. Okay. So let's enter Paris one last time. Click add city. Then we can scroll over. Everything loads. It says Friday, April 2nd. That's the time of my recording. And everything looks like it's working. So yeah, that's basically it for the weather app. I hope that you enjoyed this mini series. I will create one more part where I just basically go over everything that we did, and maybe in the meantime I'll fix a thing or two. And yeah, if you enjoyed the series, please like the video, please subscribe to the channel. There's much more content coming soon, and see you in the next one. Bye.